History books say America began with the Clovis hunters. You already felt that story was off. Then Idaho shocked everyone. Archaeologists found tools older than Clovis. The tools match weapons from Japan. They are 5,000 miles apart. What links a hidden riverbank in Idaho to Paleolithic Japan? The answer changes how we see the first Americans, and the real journey is just beginning. The Salmon River cuts through steep basalt canyons in western Idaho. It winds past a high terrace that hides a secret older than any American city. This place is called Nipe by the Nez Perce people. The name has echoed through generations, long before anyone called it Cooper's Ferry. For the Nez Perce, Nipe is more than a spot on a map. It is a memory of salmon runs that filled the river each spring. Families return to the same bend year after year to fish, gather, and tell stories. The river's pull is ancient. Salmon swim hundreds of miles from the Pacific, fighting upstream to reach these gravel bars. People followed them, drawn by the promise of food and the rhythm of the seasons. The terrace sits above the floodplain, safe from spring torrents. Layers of silt and ash built up over thousands of years. They sealed away campfire traces, broken bones, lost tools, and children's footprints. The ground here is deep with history. Each layer tells of a return, people coming back as the salmon came back. They left behind debris of daily life. Archaeologists first dug into this bank in the 1960s. The true depth of Nipe's past stayed hidden for decades. Lauren Davis and his team spent more than 10 years peeling back the layers. They were careful not to miss a single flake of stone or sliver of bone. The earth held hearths packed with charcoal, pits lined with horse and fish remains. It also held a scatter of stone tools, unlike any found in classic Clovis camps. The oldest traces sat buried nearly 8 feet down. They were protected by the high ground and the river's shifting course. To the untrained eye, it looks like any other riverbank. But for those who know where to look, Nipehe is a record of survival. It also shows adaptation and return. The Nez Perce never lost sight of its meaning. The land remembers. The river keeps its secrets, waiting for someone to ask the right questions. The surprise came when the age of these layers was finally revealed. You've felt the timeline was off. Charcoal and salmon bones finally spoke. Radiocarbon tests dated the deepest layers, fell between 16,560 and 15,280 years ago. 27 samples from pits and fires all matched. Human hands shaped tools thousands of years before Clovis points. Those points appeared later across North America. The numbers forced a reckoning. 13 stemmed projectile points emerged from the old layers. Some were no bigger than a fingernail. Others stretched nearly 2 inches. Each was chipped from local stone and shaped for hafting onto a spear shaft. They were not the famous fluted Clovis points. Instead, they bore a stem at the base. That design is unknown to the classic American toolkit. The points lay among horse and fish bones. They were mixed with flakes and blades. All were sealed beneath almost 8 feet of silt. You remember the first time you saw the results. The oldest charcoal sample dated older than 16,000 years. You retested it and tested it again. Each new result fell in the same window. That was centuries before the ice-free corridor in Canada opened. The evidence was relentless. The story in the dirt at Cooper's Ferry was older. It was deeper and more complicated than anyone guessed. No one could call this a fluke. The tools, the dates, the layers all fit. This was not just an old camp. It proved people lived and hunted in Idaho long before the Clovis culture took hold. The tidy Clovis first story in textbooks cannot explain what the Salmon River preserved. The ground kept its own record and refused to match the old script. Thousands of miles separate Idaho from Hokkaido. You already know ancient hands shaped stone into weapons. Researchers studied two Japanese sites called Kameshirataki and Okushirataki. People there made small stemmed points about 20,000 years ago. The shape is unmistakable. A sharp tip pierces, a stem fits a wooden shaft. Every detail matches the points from Cooper's Ferry. The flaking, the angled scars, the balance are the same. Not just similar, they are identical in method and design. The 2020 study placed the two collections side by side. Scientists examined the scars, the stems, the core strikes, and the fine pressure flaking. Both tool sets used a dual core and blade biface system. That recipe turns raw stone into deadly precision. No other sites in Alaska or Siberia show this technology. Only Hokkaido and Idaho share it. 5,000 miles separate them, yet the knowledge is the same. The connection is written in stone. A new name draws a line across ancient America, the American Upper Paleolithic, or AUP. It isn't one site or a stray stone. It's a pattern that runs from Idaho to Texas to Virginia. You already sense that something bigger linked these places. Researcher David Madsen helped compare stone tools from 4 corners of the continent. The findings are clear. Cooper's Ferry in Idaho comes first, with stemmed points and very old dates. Cactus Hill in Virginia follows, showing similar tools older than Clovis. In Texas, the Galt and Friedkin sites give more of the same. They have projectile points, with stems and blades cut from prepared cores. Flake marks match the Japanese method. Each site dates from about 20,000 to 13,500 years ago. The toolkit is not a local oddity. It is a tradition that spans thousands of miles and centuries. The term AUP now groups these places together. It shows the first Americans shared more than a continent. They shared a way of making, hunting, and surviving that began far across the Pacific. The old story said people walked into America through an ice-free corridor in Canada. The glaciers had melted. But the numbers don't fit. That corridor opened only 14,800 years ago. By then, people had already lived at Cooper's Ferry for over 1,000 years. The oldest camps are not in Alaska or Yukon. They are deep in the interior. Idaho, Texas, and Virginia hold them. No far north site has the same stemmed point technology as Idaho and Hokkaido. The land bridge model falls apart when the evidence is laid out. Instead, the clues point west across the Pacific. After the last icy age, sea levels rose 300 feet. Ancient coastlines where people stopped, fished, and built shelters are now buried. They lie under cold water and mud. The only stories left are on higher ground. Places like Cooper's Ferry sit where the river bends and salmon still run. Lauren Davis put it plainly. For the first time, we can say the first Americans belong to a Paleolithic world. It connects North America to Northeast Asia. The first chapter of American history is not about isolation. It is about connection across oceans, continents, and time. Archaeology keeps changing what you think you know. Each new find, like Idaho tools, opens history. The story of how people reached America is still being rewritten. Evidence, not old maps, drives the new picture. The land remembers even when textbooks forget. What else is waiting?